For my disability presentation, I studied OHI, which stands for Other Health Impairment. OHI is under the Disability List of IDEA as an umbrella term for multiple disabilities. I hope my presentation gives you all a solid understanding of OHI. OHI falls in its own category of disabilities under IDEA. Within OHI, many disorders such as ADD and ADHD fall here because they are not classified as their own disorder, but are still required under IDEA to be treated if it is affecting the learning and education of a child. What falls under OHI? I will be going through many disorders that are considered to be necessary under the rulings of IDEA. These disorders can all cause impairments in the education of OHI children and can be treated with the help of IDEA. ADHD is found under IDEA, but may not be treated if it is not affecting the child's learning outcomes. This is why it remains under OHI. If the disorder has a chance of not affecting schooling, then it is not treated under IDEA. Diabetes is also found under OHI because in certain cases, for example, if a child's blood sugar levels were to get too low, the child could possibly fall into a coma. Other than that, a child could become unattentive and become fatigued in the classroom. Epilepsy can harm a child's learning, for example, by causing seizures if the child is focusing for too long on one thing, such as a lesson plan. Under IDEA, teachers and professionals should work with parents to overcome this issue. Tourette syndrome might seem like it would be categorized under IDEA on its own, but since it might not affect the child's learning, it may not be covered by IDEA. Interestingly enough, Tourette's is under OHI to clear misconceptions of it being behavioral issues and showing that it's neurological issues. Hemophilia is a condition where the blood does not clot properly and more often causes nosebleeds. Because of this, it is under OHI, but more than likely will not affect a child's education. We can all remember the kid that constantly got nosebleeds. Other issues under OHI include rheumatic fever, lead poisoning, leukemia, several heart conditions, and sickle cell anemia. These are all considered under OHI and can have an impact on a child's education. The first thing teachers should know is the student's case manager should and will be in contact with you to go over the child's disability. This along with what the IEP is for the student and also what they found to work in the past for the child and what they found to not work. The second thing I personally think teachers should know is that although the kids have a disability, they should be treated with kindness and fair attention like you would any other child in your classroom. Everyone deserves a fair education. Third, OHI includes many different disabilities, and not all of these disabilities will affect the child's learning. But if it does happen to affect the child's learning and you have multiple OHIs in your classroom, you will have to work your plans around them. The fourth thing teachers should know who have students with OHIs is that you are there to facilitate their learning, and it might be difficult at times depending on the OHI, but they need you to work with their disability to help them grow. The last thing a teacher should know about OHI students is that they can learn to be independent, and it is very important that they learn independence in their disability to move on through their lives. No matter how small the disability, it is important that they learn to manage both their disability and their studies. Here are 5 strategies for teachers with OHI students. The number one strategy would be to open your mind to new students and to invite them into your classroom without any preconceived notions. This is important to give your students the most out of your teaching. The second strategy would be to look at your curriculum and lesson plans and see what you can do for your students, and from there you will be able to make modifications and or accommodations for your OHI students. The third strategy is to break your kids off into smaller groups and find what works for them. Do they need to also break up their assignments into smaller chunks? That's perfectly okay. Smaller means you can focus on your OHI students more to learn what they need. The fourth strategy would be to meet with the parents one-on-one, especially at the beginning of the year to learn more about your student before you even meet them, but also throughout the year to keep tabs on the progress of the student. Your parents will want to know how this is going. The fifth and most important strategy is to be accommodating for your students. You are there for their learning, so learn what they need, learn what works, learn what doesn't work, and provide them with an amazing education because that is what you are there for. We have reached the end of my presentation, and I hope you have learned more about other health impairments. I have provided you with the sources I used throughout the presentation for my pictures, and for my information, it can be found within my brochure. I hope you enjoyed and thank you for listening.